Dear students, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University video lesson on programming with C and C++ for UG 3rd semester students of computer applications. Today we are going to discuss Unit 7 Arrays Part 2. So now let us begin our discussion on the types of arrays in C programming. So what are types of arrays? So types of arrays refers to the different ways an array can organize and store data in memory. The classification depends on the number of dimensions an array has. A dimensions represents the directions or level in which data is arranged. As the number of dimensions increase, the array can represent more complex data structure. So there are three main types of arrays in C. Based on the number of directions, C programming provides three main types of arrays. Each type is designed to solve different kinds of problems depending on how the data needs to be stored. So first one is one dimensional array. So this is the simplest type of an array in C programming. A one dimensional array stores all its elements in a single row. So every element is accessed using only one index. So storing data in a single row. So here look at the example here. So each element has a unique position called index. This is a unique position called index. Since the array has only one dimension, only one index is required to access any element. Here only one index. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So here these five are the indexes. So for example, code for this one dimensional array is int array of 5. So this statement declares an integer array named that array. So here integer is a data type, is a name, and the size of this array is 5. Since the size is 5, the valid index range from 0 to 4. So this one dimensional array, the example of array, can store only 5 elements. So coming to the two-dimensional array. So two-dimensional array stores data in rows and columns model. It commonly used to represent tables and matrices. So tables and matrices. So store data in rows and columns. So here we are storing data in rows and columns. So it uses two indexes. Here see 0, 1, 0, 1 and 2. So to access an element in a two-dimensional array, we need two indexes. First index specifies the row number. See here array of 2 by 3. So here 2 is the row number and 3 is the column number. So this is the two-dimensional array. So this example contains 2 rows and 3 columns. The first row stores 10, 20, 30. The second row stores 40, 50, 60. So row numbers 0 and 1 and column numbers are 0, 1 and 2. So look at the code, int array of 2 and 3. So this declaration creates a two-dimensional integer array with 2 rows and 3 columns. It can stores a total of 6 integer values. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So coming to the multi-dimensional array, a multi-dimensional array has 3 or more dimensions. So it used when data needs to be organized in multiple levels. So store data in more than 2-dimensional is nothing but multi-dimensional array. So 3D cube, it is data storing looks like a 3D cube diagram. So here we can use rows, columns and depth. So rows for the vertical direction represents the rows and columns represents the horizontal directions represents the column column. And coming to the depth, the third direction moving inward represents the depth or layer of the array. So look at the code here, int array of 2, 3, 4. So the statements declares three-dimensional integer array. It has two layers. And 3 rows in each layer and 4 columns in each row. The total number of elements that can be stored 2 into 3 into 4, which is equals to 24. So finally, in C programming, arrays are classified into one-dimensional and two-dimensional and multi-dimensional array based on the number of dimensions they have. A one-dimensional array stores single row using one index. Two-dimensional array stores data in rows and columns using two indexes. A multi-dimensional array stores data in multiple layers using 3 or more indexes. So understanding these array types helps programs choose the appropriate data structure for different programming applications. And coming to the next one, one-dimensional array. So here let us see the definition of the one-dimensional array. So this is the simplest and first type of an array. So an one-dimensional array stores all its variables in straight line or one row. So since all the values are arranged in single row, it is called a one-dimensional array like this. So this is the simplest and most commonly used array in C. So the array diagram is this one. The first element is stored at index 0, the second element is stored at index 1, third element is stored at index 2, and fourth one at 3, fifth one at 4. This is a general structure of the one-dimensional array. And also look at the syntax of the array. Here we have to write first data type and the name of the array and size. See, size here only single line. In the one-dimensional array, data can only stored in single line. And example for this one is int marks of 5. So at a time we can store 5 marks. In this example we can store at a time 5 students marks only. So initialization marks is, and look at the initialization of marks. So int marks of 5 equals to 5 values. So the first value is 80 stored at index 0 and the second value of 85 stored at index 1, like this, storing data in memory. So accessing elements. So here the fifth topic in one-dimensional array is accessing element. So printf statement we are using. This statement displays the value stored at index 2. This array name is marks. So the number inside the square brackets represents the index value. The compiler goes directly to the index 2 and retrieve the value stored there. So output will be 90. So this way we are accessing elements. So in the printf statement directly we are giving index value. So here reading the values in one-dimensional array. So we are using hash include stdio.h. So this header is for reading or accessing scanf and printf. So again we are using int main. This is the main function for the program. So here int a of 5 is nothing but, so a is the int is the data type and a is the name of the array and 5 is the size. This 5 can store 5 values. Again here we are writing for loop. So for loop the loop starts from index 0, that's why here I value is 5. So here we are also using scan value to read the values. So finally we are displaying the values. So after this loop finishes, all 5 values are displayed. Finally we are returning 0 and closing the main function. So coming to the applications of the one-dimensional array student marks. So arrays are used to store marks of many students. By using one-dimensional array, we can store student marks. And second one is employee salaries. So they are used to store salaries of employees in a company using this one-dimensional array. So and also third advantage is product price. So array can store prices of different products in shop. So coming to the fourth advantage is temperature. They are used to store daily or monthly temperature readings in a single line or single data structure or one-dimensional array. Monthly expenses. This one-dimensional array helps to store expenses for different months to calculate total and average expenses. So these all are the examples. So we can easily declare this one-dimensional array. These all are the applications. And coming to the advantages, we can easily declare single array, simple to understand, fast element access, less memory consumption. So finally, an one-dimensional array is the simplest type of array in C programming. It stores data in a single row and uses one index to access each element. It is easy to declare, simple to use, provide fast access to data, and is widely used to real world applications such as storing marks, salaries, prices, temperatures and expenses. And coming to the next topic, two-dimensional array. So another name of two-dimensional array is 2D array. So a two-dimensional array is used when we want to store data in the form of rows and columns. So just like a table or matrix. So the definition of the two-dimensional array is this two-dimensional array stores data in the form of rows and columns instead of storing data in a single line like a one-dimensional array. A two-dimensional array organizes data like a table. Every value has a row number and column number. So it is also called a matrix. So example for matrix, here rows and columns are there. So this is the example for two-dimensional array. So in this example, it has 3 rows, it has 3 columns. The first row contains 10, 20 and 30. Second row contains 40, 50, 60 and 70, 80, 90. Every value is identified using both its rows and column number. So look at the syntax of this two-dimensional array: data type, array name, rows and columns. So here data type specifies the data type of the data, such as like int, float, char, whatever it may be. Array name specifies the name of the array. So rows specify the name of the rows, and columns specify the number of columns. So the syntax for two-dimensional array is data type array name, rows and columns. Here first one is data type, so int whatever data. So matrix 3 by 4, here matrix is a array name, and 3 by 4, 3 is rows and 5 is columns. So this statement declares an integer array named as matrix. Here this statement declares this integer array named as matrix. It has 3 rows and 3 columns. So this is array can store 3 by 3, 9 integer values. And coming to the initialization, so here look at the code. Int matrix 2 by 3, so 3 by 3, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So here first one is rows values 10, 20, 30, and column values are 40, 50, 60. So the compiler stores these values exactly in the same row and column position like this. So this picture shows how the values are stored in memory. So there are 2 rows and 3 columns. 2 rows and 3 columns. So first row 10, 20, 30, second row 40, 50, 60. So the fifth one is accessing elements. So here we can access elements like printf, print function statement, here matrix 3 by 2. So first the first 3 is first index value representation, second row index is second value representation. So the compiler goes to the second row and third column, second row and third column, second row and third column. So here next one is reading matrix. So again we are using same C code. So C code and main method, hash include, everything we are using same, but here variable representation data type, here int a of 2 by 2. So this statement declares two-dimensional array having 2 rows and 2 columns. So here I is used to control rows and j is used to control columns. Here again we are using for loops for 2 values. So this outer loop is for moves to the first row and the last row. So the inner loop is for every column and current loop. So scanner, this statement reads one value from the keyboard. Scanner statement reads the entered value is stored at the current row and column position. The loop continue until all elements are entered. So look at the displayed matrix. Here displayed matrix we used for loop and I. So for row, j is for column, we are using print statement. So this statement prints the one element of the matrix. So finally printf n. So this statement moves the cursor to the next to the line. Because of this statement, every row is printed on a separate line. So the output will be 10, 20, 30, 40. And look at the applications of the two-dimensional array matrix operations. First one is matrix operations. Two-dimensional array are used for mathematical matrix operations, and second one is mark sheet. They are used to store marks of many students in different subjects. So this two-dimensional array we are using for mark sheet, like many students in different subjects. For seating arrangement also, this two-dimensional array is very helpful. They help represent classroom seating position using rows and columns. And coming to the next one is chessboard. A chessboard has 8 rows and 8 columns. So it can be represented using two-dimensional array. And next one is image processing. See, in the digital image are made of pixels arranged in rows and columns method. So image processing uses two-dimensional array. And finally, advantages of the two-dimensional array: store tabular data. Yes, here we have columns and rows, so data stores in a tabular form. So easy rows and column operations. Here in the two-dimensional array we can easily access rows and column method. So it's useful for mathematical calculations. This two-dimensional array is useful for mathematical calculations. So this is all about the two-dimensional array in C. The another name of two-dimensional array is 2D array. And next topic is multi-dimensional array. So already till now we completed one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, and this is multi-dimensional array. So multi-dimensional array, another name is three-dimensional array. So here arrays having more than two dimensions are called multi-dimensional array. So the definition of this multi-dimensional array is array having more than two dimensions are called multi-dimensional array. So when an array has three or more dimensions is called multi-dimensional array. So multi-dimensional array stores more complex data than a one-dimensional or two-dimensional array. So example for three-dimensional array: int data 2, 3, 4. Here 2 blocks, 3 rows and 4 columns. So first one represents 2 layers here in this example, int data 2, 3, 4. Here 2 represents the layers and 3 represents rows and 4 represent columns. So the total number of elements are here 2 into 3 into 4, which is 24. So example for this one is int marks of 2, 2, 3. This declaration creates another three-dimensional array. So look at this example. This declaration creates another three-dimensional array. This stores data in three-dimensional way. Unlike two-dimensional array, three-dimensional array stores data in multiple layers. It is useful for representing complex information. Okay, example for uses of this three-dimensional array: school, class, student. So here three-dimensional, first dimension represents the school, second dimension represents the class, third dimension represents the student. So another example for this three-dimensional array: building, floor and room. So building represents first dimension, floor represents second dimension, so third dimension represents room. And similarly one more example for this multi-dimensional: year, month, day. So the first dimension represents the year, second one month, and third one is days. So this is the explanation for multi-dimensional array. Coming to the application, so the applications for this three-dimensional array: 3D graphs. Three-dimensional arrays are used in game and computer graphics. So nowadays everywhere using this three-dimensional array in gamings, like Unity development, and everywhere using this three-dimensional array. And second one is scientific calculators. So in scientific calculator, they help scientists to process large amount of scientific data. So medical images, the third one is medical images. So they are used to store CT scan or MRI scan images in a multi-dimensional array model. So weather data also stores over different places, different times in multi-dimensional arrays. And final application is artificial intelligence. Many AI applications uses multi-dimensional arrays to organize large data sets. And finally, advantages of this multi-dimensional array: it stores complex data, so it's organized structured data, so efficient for large applications. And coming to the conclusion, so this multi-dimensional array stores data in rows and columns and is mainly used to tables and matrices. A multidimensional array stores data in 3 or more dimensions and is suitable for handling complex real-world information. Both types helps program organize, process, and access data efficiently in C programming. And coming to the next one, comparison of arrays in C. Yeah, we already completed each and every topic. So here one dimensional array, two dimensional array, multi-dimensional array, or three dimensional array. So look at the structure. First feature is structure, single dimensional array. So single line we are storing data. So this is the structure of one dimensional array. Coming to the two dimensional array, so here we can follow rows and column procedure. So coming to the three dimensional array, it follows multi dimensions. Okay, layer, rows and columns, multi dimensional it follows. Coming to the index values, see in one dimensional array only one index, it starts from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. Coming to the two dimensional array, the index values are two indexes, rows index, column index, both are differ. And coming to the three dimensional array, index values are three or more indexes. So depends on size of the array. Layers, rows and columns, there are more indexes. And example for this one dimensional array, mark of 5. So this mark of 5 contains 5 student values. And coming to the two dimensional array example, mark of 5 by 3. So here totally 15 values we can store. Coming to the three dimensional array example, see at a time it store 2, 3 is a 6, 6, 4 is a 24 values we can store. So uses of this three arrays. So usage of one dimensional array for student marks, temperatures and prices. So simple data we can store in one dimensional array. Coming to the two dimensional array, so mark sheets and matrices, seating arrangements, all usages are comes under 2D array. Coming to the multi-dimensional array, so 3D graphics, scientific data, weather data, these all are comes under multi-dimensional array. So thank you so much students. So finally the summary, arrays in C. So the array is a collection of elements of same data type stored in contiguous memory location. So arrays allow us to store multiple values using a single variable name. So array elements are accessed during the using an index value. So it is syntax and everything easy. So the advantages of array, stored multiple values using one variable. So by using loops we can reduce the code, easy to process, so we can easily process large amount of data, so easy to use with loops, so provide faster element access using index. So coming to the types for one dimensional array stores data in single row, so it uses one index. And coming to the two dimensional array stores data in rows and columns, it uses two indexes, so used for tables, matrices, mark sheets and seating arrangement. Coming to the 3D array, so store data in more than two dimensions, so uses three or more indexes, so used in 3D graphics, scientific calculations, medical imaging and artificial intelligence. So array stores elements of only one data type. This is the key point. So all data stores in contiguous memory locations. So the arrays are the one of the most important data structures in C programming. They help programmers store and manage multiple values efficiently. and reduce code and perform operations on large amount of data quickly and systematically. So thank you guys.